Good morning, everybody. Hope you've had a good summer. Call the meeting to order. You want to call the roll, Cassandra?
Superintendent Chaudhary is absent. Secretary Churchill.
Good morning.
Mr.
Present.
Darenberg.
Here.
Ms. Eberhardt.
Here.
Mr. Gibbons is absent. Ms. Lala.
Here.
Mr. Lombardo.
Present.
Secretary McCord.
Present.
And Chair Casemeyer.
Here. Thank you.
You have a quorum, Mr. Chair.
Do we have any revisions to the agenda? Cassandra?
No, Mr. Chair.
No, any public comment?
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Alex, you want to take us through the consent agenda, please?
Certainly. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning to all. Mr. Chair, items 1A through F on a consent agenda include administrative items, including last month's minutes, contracts, the revisions to previously approved contracts, closeouts, one site approval, one property transfer, and one local planning approval rescission. These are all standard items this month, and I will also note that informationally, we're providing on 1H the Built to Learn project status report, which shows a couple of updates in terms of project progress from last month, but no significant changes or additions of projects to report this month. So we can stand for questions if you have them on any of these items.
Okay, I bet G, is G the same as A through F? I don't think you mentioned, you said A through F. Is G anything different?
No, G is just a standard rescission of a project that for adjustment.
Okay. All right. Do we hear a motion that we approve the consent agenda items A through G and H?
Move approval.
Here a second.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you. Item 2, the adoption of the IAC FY22 annual report. First of all, I think you've all received a copy. You know, I want to congratulate Cassandra and Hannah and all the staff for putting together a real professional looking document. I think will be very useful. Hannah, or do you, Cassandra, want to say a few words?
Yeah, I just want to introduce Hannah Sturm. She's our communications coordinator. She's been with the IAC for about a year and is the mastermind behind all of the communications that you see us put out and the developments on our website. She has really done a great job of helping us become more transparent and has really helped to develop this annual report, which is our first ever comprehensive annual report. So with that, I will turn it over to her.
Thank you, Cassandra, and good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the Commission. As Cassandra said, my name is Hannah Sturm. I'm the Communications Coordinator for the IAC. Included in today's agenda on pages 89 through 127 is the IAC's inaugural fiscal year 2022 annual report. The IAC has traditionally published information related to each of its funding programs and activities for public information on the IAC website or as required by statute, such as the annual Maintenance of Maryland's Public School Buildings report presented on item 6 of this agenda. However, the IAC to date has not published a comprehensive annual report. For the report's introduction, highlighted in this report are new and traditional activities of the IAC, from the implementation of the inaugural statewide facilities assessment, taking significant steps towards a comparable condition score for every public K-12 school facility in Maryland, to the 51st year of capital funding for school construction and renovation since the start of the state's investment in facilities through the IAC in 1971. The report also includes school spotlights, reference data, and thoughts from members of the Commission and retired State Treasurer Nancy Kopp. This report is provided in conjunction with the IAC's website as a tool for public information regarding the IAC's programs and services. IAC staff would like to thank our partner agencies at the Maryland Department for Planning for data provided for the enrollment projections feature, and the Maryland Center for School Safety for data provided related to their administration of the public and non-public school safety grant programs. We would also like to acknowledge the contributions of retired State Treasurer Nancy Kopp, every member of the Commission, and of course the 24 LEAs and the Maryland School for the Blind for their participation in this report. We hope that you will share, enjoy, and refer back to the IAC's first annual report. We can now stand for questions and to read the motion.
Thank you, Hannah. I really appreciate all your work. I think also Department of Planning and DGS were very cooperative in putting this piece together. Do I hear a motion that we approve of the final draft of the IAC's annual report?
So
Motion.
moved, Mr. Chairman.
Secretary, any questions about the report? Secretary McCord.
Yeah, just to comment, I'd like to thank Hannah and everyone who had a hand in putting it together. As you know, the owner of the State Data Center and the Department of Planning, it's not only what the numbers are, but the kind of story that the numbers tell, and to be able to present them in a way that in one chart you can really get a handle on what's going on. It's very difficult to do. I think you've done a nice job with that. There's a lot of different ways that we can look at our numbers, and you have chosen some of the best ways that we can look at it and in a glance get an idea of what's going on. Your efforts in that regard are not unnoticed, and they should continue. And as the ways to present data keep evolving, stay on top of that to make sure that the public, especially in a glance, can see what's going on. They can drill down later, but there's a lot of these things that there are charts and graphs that we haven't seen before. We're used to the standard things. You've done non-standard things to present lots of information in one place. And for the most part, I just congratulate you for presenting the data well. So there's my compliment from the State Data Center to you. Thank you.
Thank you for your thoughts. Cassandra or Hannah, you want to discuss the distribution of this document in terms of where it's going to go?
Yeah, Mr. Chair. So we will distribute this document really widely to all of our stakeholders. We'll send it out to our distribution list that include members of the General Assembly, county executives, superintendents, LEA facility planners. We also have on our website, I'm going to take a minute to plug this, an option for any interested member of the public to subscribe to the kinds of documents that we put out. So that's on every page of our website in the footer. Anyone can subscribe. And we have, for example, when it comes to IAC meetings, almost 2,000 subscribers that receive the agenda when it goes out every month. So we have a couple of thousand folks who will receive this report through that subscription.
Well, thank you. It's great. Appreciate it. Okay, motion's on the floor. All in favor of the motion that we approve the FY22?
I don't think it was seconded, Chair.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But I don't. For the record, I'm just to help you out. But I can second it.
Okay. Thank you. Any more discussion? All in favor of approval of the FY 2022 annual report, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Let's move on to item 3, adoption of the COMAR revisions. Jonathan and Cassandra, want to discuss this? Welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Commission members. I'm Jonathan Borghetti, the IAC Policy Analyst. At the June 8, 2022 meeting, the IAC approved COMAR revisions to Regulation 1439-0205. These revisions were to codify increases in the state cost share as required by House Bill 1290. The revisions, as shown on page 139 of the agenda, were published in the July 15, 2022 Maryland Register. The revisions were open for a period of 30 days for public comment. We did not receive any public comment during that period. If approved, the final notice will be published in the Maryland Register, and the regulations will go into effect 10 days after publication. We can now stand for questions and to read the motion.
Yeah, you want to read the motion again, please?
Yeah. The motion is to adopt the final COMAR revisions as published in the July 15, 2022 Maryland Register.
Do I hear a motion that we approve the COMAR revisions?
So moved.
Second. Secretary
Second.
Soto. Any questions about this item? Okay, thank you, Jonathan. All in favor of approval of the COMAR revisions, raise your hand or say aye.
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 All opposed? Thank you. Okay, let's move on to the item 4, FY 2023 Healthy School Facility Fund Approval of Project Applications. Arabia, good morning.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chair and Commission members. The Interagency Commission on School Construction has been authorized to provide funding through the Healthy Schools Facility Fund program for projects that remediate environmental health risk in school facilities. For this fiscal year, the IAC received 110 funding requests totaling $134 million. Today's recommendations include funding for 2 indoor air quality projects that are deemed an immediate risk, 11 roof projects, and 12 HVAC projects that have exceeded their intended useful life, which totals $45 million. The proposed approvals are based on the prioritization of the project categories as outlined in the Administrative Procedures Guide and staff's analysis of the applications and supporting documentation. Due to funding limitations, the regional facility managers are in the process of coordinating with their local counterparts to discuss projects that are being recommended for deferral, to provide other options or potential funding sources that may be suitable. One noteworthy item to mention is that for this round, there are no lead projects being recommended because those projects either did not meet the 5 parts per billion threshold or the documentation required to analyze water contamination was not supplied to the Maryland Department of the Environment. As a reminder, Baltimore City Public Schools has a separate application process, and we expect that their project submissions will be submitted by November 30th. Jean Shanholtz, Regional Facility Manager, and Tim Rule of the Maryland Department of the Environment are available to address project-related questions.
Thank you, Arabia. You want to repeat the motion, please?
The motion is to approve fiscal year 2023 Healthy School Facility Fund project allocations totaling $45 million.
Do I hear a motion to do so?
Motion.
Ms. Everhart, and second by Superintendent Chadri. Okay, any questions about this motion about the Healthy School Fund?
I have a question.
Darren Bird.
How are you? Just with the schools that are getting the air conditioning units or replacement, are they going to be 100% air conditioning? Do we know that? Or is it just going to be partial?
Jean can probably answer that question if he is on this call.
Mr.
Good morning.
Shanholtz.
Good morning, Chair Case Meyer and members of the commission. The only project that lacked air conditioning in this year's application cycle was Garrett County Public Schools. And to my knowledge, that entire project will be air conditioned afterwards.
So the replacement units are fully air conditioned, 100% every classroom?
Yes, every classroom.
Okay.
There are partial, there about 50% of the school or less currently has air conditioning. There are wings of that particular facility that have no air conditioning.
And that will be air conditioned?
Yes.
Fully?
Yes, afterwards for the classrooms.
Right, that's my question.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions about the motion? All in favor of the motion about the Healthy School Facility Fund approval, please say aye. Raise your hands.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Number 5, Dorchester County Amendment to the Capital Improvement Program. Arabia and Rodney.
Yes, due to market conditions, recent bid responses to Dorchester County solicitation for the Maple Elementary roof replacement project came in over budget. To address the funding shortfall, the county is requesting the IAC's approval to amend their FY22 Capital Improvement Program submission, increase the project allocation, and to transfer $452,000 from the LEA's reserved appropriations account. As background information, in FY22, the IAC approved $1.8 million for the roof project at Maple Elementary through the Healthy Schools Facility Fund program. Because no prior year reserve funding is available through this program, and to avoid a delay in moving this needed project forward, an examination of statute and the procedures guide was undertaken by staff to determine whether combining funding sources is permissible. In collaboration with the IAC's Assistant State's Attorney, staff determined that the combining of funding sources is not prohibited and that the funding amount requested by the LEA for distribution through the CIP's prior year reserved appropriations account is available. The LEA has committed to covering any remaining expenses. The Regional Facilities Manager for Dorchester County, Rodney, is available to answer any project-related questions.
Okay, you want to repeat the motion, Arabia?
Yes, sir. To approve a request from Dorchester County Public Schools to amend the FY 2023 Capital Improvement Program, CIP, to include the Maple Elementary School roof replacement project and assign funding in the amount of $452,640 from the the Dorchester County's Public Schools Reserved Account.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do I hear a motion favorable to the motion?
So moved, Gloria.
Second by Secretary Churchill. Any discussion about this issue, transferring this money to complete this project? Secretary Churchill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't really have a question about this. It's fairly straightforward. I just would bring up that we're likely to see many more of these types of requests as we are in some uncertain economic times, with being that budgets were crafted several years ago, and of course now with supply chain issues. So I would expect more of these from our LEAs.
Okay. Any other comments or questions about the motion? All in favor of the Dorchester County amendment to their capital program, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. D'Anzio, for coming. Appreciate it. Okay, let's go to item 6, adoption of the 2022 annual maintenance report. Alex?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning to all. I am going to share my screen in just a moment for this presentation. And this is the presentation of the IAC's FY22 annual report. Takes place each year on maintenance in Maryland school buildings. So one moment and I'll share my screen. I'm having a little technical challenge here. One moment. I apologize. If you can bear with me. All right. Is it visible now?
Yes.
Great. Thank you. Mr. Chair and members of the Commission, today we present for your approval the IAC's annual report on the maintenance of Maryland's public school facilities for fiscal year 2022. This report is the product of the hard work of our assessment and maintenance group. With me this morning to talk about the IAC's Maintenance Effectiveness Assessment, or MEA, and the annual report, our Assessment and Maintenance Group Manager, Scott Snyder, and Administrative Officer, Brooke Finneran. Scott?
Thank you, Alex. Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the Commission. Since 2007, the IAC has conducted maintenance inspections of selected LEA school facilities. Beginning in fiscal year 2021, IAC staff implemented a new maintenance effectiveness assessment as part of its technical assistance to LEAs. The new assessment focuses on the things that have substantial and direct impact on teaching and learning, and on the longevity of building systems and of the facility. This includes maintenance management, which includes maintaining and following preventive maintenance PM plans, as well as the use of a computerized maintenance management system, or a CMMS. The outcome that serves as our benchmark level of maintenance effectiveness is that which, on average, is likely to support achieving the full expected lifespan from a given building system and from the facility. The level of maintenance earns an adequate rating. Adequate truly is, therefore, the minimum level of maintenance effectiveness that we want to see every school and on every building system. In addition to rating the effectiveness of maintenance on each major area of the facility, the assessors can log the existence of any observed deficiency in a building system that poses an immediate or potential threat to the life, safety, or health of occupants of the facility, and to encourage LEAs to remediate those deficiencies as quickly as possible. Identified major or minor deficiencies apply a multiplier and result in a reduced score for the facility in the appropriate category. Examples of major deficiencies would be the presence of mold, broken window glass, or a non-functional HVAC system. Examples of a minor deficiency would be clogged drains that could result in water infiltrating the building, small cracks in exterior wall facings or concrete stairs, loose flashings on roofs, and missing or insufficiently secured ceiling tiles. This feature incentivizes the quick elimination of deficiencies that can harm occupants or cause a near-term loss of educational function. Unlike the IAC's previous assessments, where the LEA had no opportunity to increase a school's maintenance score until it was assessed again, sometimes 6 or 7 years later, in the new assessment, the LEA has 15 calendar days from receipt of the preliminary assessment to submit an action plan showing how it will address the deficiency. So long as the LEA submits satisfactory evidence within 45 calendar days that it has taken or is taking action to correct the deficiency, IAC staff can remove this deficiency note and adjust the score up accordingly. Correcting just a handful of deficiencies can in some cases shift a facility's overall score up an entire rating level. Because the new and improved assessment is quite different from the pre-2021 surveys, the results in fiscal year 2022 are comparable only with those from fiscal year 2021. As compared with the results from fiscal year 2021, the average overall rating in fiscal year 2022 had a downward shift of about 1%, while 9 LEAs increased their average rating. Now,
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Scott, but what
Yes,
are those numbers on the previous slide? What do they mean? Minus 34, minus 100?
Those are the penalty, for lack of a better term, that would be reducing the score when a deficiency is assigned to a category. So if a category received a minor deficiency, they're subjected to a 34% decline in their rating, and if it was a major, it would be 100%.
Okay. Thank you.
Good question. So now I will turn it over to Brooke to talk about the assessment results described in the annual report. Brooke?
Page 190 of the agenda, or page 19 of the annual maintenance report, shows that 265 assessments were conducted in FY 2022. 211 schools, approximately 80% of schools assessed in FY 2022, received a passing rating, with 189, or approximately 71% of schools, earning an adequate overall rating. This is good news because it suggests that more than 3/4 of assessed schools are being maintained adequately overall. However, 54 schools, approximately 20% of schools assessed in FY 2022, received either a not adequate or a poor overall rating, suggesting that the building systems or facilities will not achieve their full expected lifespans if the level of maintenance is not improved, which will likely lead to increased maintenance costs as the conditions of the building systems decline prematurely. The statewide average maintenance effectiveness rating by facility was 73.06%, which falls within the adequate range under the IAC's rating system. 19 of 24, or 79% of LEAs, earned an average overall maintenance effectiveness rating of adequate or better. 5 LEAs earned a rating of not adequate. Page 194 of the agenda, or page 23 of the annual maintenance report, shows the statistics for passing versus failing ratings by category. LEA maintenance effectiveness was highest in the building system categories of floors, windows, caulking, and skylights, and positive site drainage away from structures. The highest number of superior ratings were earned in conveyances. LEA maintenance effectiveness was lowest in the building system categories of HVAC systems, fire and safety systems and utility controls, and roadways, parking lots, and walkways. For any deficiency noted in a preliminary report, the LEA may request that the IAC remove the deficiency's negative score effect from the overall facility score in the IAC's final MEA report. At its discretion, the IAC may reduce or remove the negative score impact of a minor or major deficiency if an acceptable action plan and final response are submitted on time and sufficient proof of remediation is included. The parameters for removal of deficiencies can be found in the MEA Deficiency Removal Guidelines posted on our IAC website. The LEAs accrued a total of 689 deficiencies that were not remediated. The categories listed under site and under building equipment and systems collectively received 466 of those deficiencies. It is important to note that the number of deficiencies accrued by LEAs ranged significantly, from a low of 0.2 per school assessed to a high of 6.5 per school assessed. As was the case last year, our experience this year suggests that some of the higher numbers result from some LEAs having more portfolio than they have the resources to maintain, or in some instances, the LEAs did not provide the proper documentation to support their remediation efforts. Here, I will hand it over to Scott to talk about maintenance management.
I have one question. Excuse me. The fire and safety systems and utility controls. There's 80 deficiencies, minor. How many of those are fire and safety specific issues? And what are they kind of things? You know?
Chair, I think in order for us to really give you clear lines on that, we would have to do a little more research than what we're prepared to give you in this particular call. And we would certainly do that for you. Based off of memory, though, a lot of them are, some troubles in the system, in the fire alarm system, some faults in the system. We also have into that category items like eye wash stations that aren't functioning well, sprinkler systems that are frozen over because they maybe are possibly over top of a freezer system in a kitchen, similar things to that. But we can certainly get you more detailed information.
So there are obviously no major fire and safety systems, no major deficiencies your chart shows.
No, sir.
So we don't consider these a threat to safety in any immediate terms. Obviously, you're
nothing immediately, no.
Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sure. Moving on to the next slide. The new maintenance effectiveness assessment includes 4 new categories under maintenance management, which did not receive ratings and assessments prior to fiscal year 2021 and fiscal year 2022. Although most LEAs received high overall ratings in the area of maintenance management, our assessors found that many of the LEAs are not making full use of key functionalities of their computerized maintenance management systems to ensure that needed maintenance activities are performed and that asset repair costs are tracked and repair histories are maintained. Computerized maintenance management systems are a crucial tool that LEAs need to be fully using to oversee the operations and maintenance of their facilities. A CMMS, if used well, will track the work order history of each asset, including all associated parts and labor costs. This data can be used to hold all staff and contractors accountable for their work and find problem areas of recurring issues with specific assets, which will influence system repair or replacement funding decisions and identify staff shortages. In addition to ensuring that timely preventive maintenance that is needed to obtain the full expected lifespan out of each building system is performed, requires that the preventive maintenance work orders be auto-generated within the CMMS on a set schedule so that they can be completed in a timely manner. As part of the Built to Learn Act, which took effect in 2021, the IAC has been authorized to adopt regulations that require the use of a standard statewide CMMS for school facilities, maintenance work order tracking, and reporting. And staff are in the process of exploring how the state may support LEA's maintenance efforts by doing so. IAC staff will continue to work closely with LEA maintenance leaders to support them in deploying solutions and best practices that will help the LEAs improve maintenance of their facilities and thereby better support teaching and learning. The IAC's new maintenance effectiveness assessment will continue to be a powerful tool for this work. I am happy to stand now for questions, and if there are no questions, I can present the motion to approve the annual report.
Why don't you read the motion, please?
Yes, sir. The motion is to approve the final draft of the fiscal year 2022 report, Maintenance of Maryland's Public School Buildings, dated October 1st, 2022, pending non-substantive edits by staff.
Thank you. You hear a motion? Favorable.
So moved.
Secretary Ellington, second.
Lawler.
Ms. Lawler, thank you. Questions, discussion about the motion? So I just have one question. So the minor deficiencies, I mean, does everybody make these corrections once you've notified the LEA, or are there some systems that don't respond within the 45 days or whatever?
There are a handful that have some challenges, as we have described within our reading and within the report, in concerning staffing or funding to be able to get to everything in a timely manner. But
what happens to those issues? What do we do with them?
We send final results out to their superintendents, and we inform them of the situations and allow them to engage in conversation with us on how we can remediate.
Okay. Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion? Oh, Secretary Churchill.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I did have one question on the chart, and I think I just was writing down some notes. On the major and minor deficiencies by category, it was mentioned that 400, there was a number of 400 of the 600 were in a certain category. And I thought it was assigned to site, but I think I misheard. Can the team just give a clarification to that one statement?
I can clarify. The statement was that the two biggest categories or groups, you could say, of our deficiencies are site and building equipment and systems. If you add those two together, the total is 466 out of 689 deficiencies.
Okay, thank you. I didn't hear the second part, building systems. I was just focusing on site. I didn't see that reflected in the chart. Thank you for the clarification.
You're welcome.
All in favor of the motion, raise your hand or say aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Scott and Brooke. Appreciate your help. Motion passes. Okay, moving on to item 7, extension of the Safe School Grant Program.
Yes.
Arabia?
Per statute, the IAC is authorized to administer the school safety grant allocations to local education agencies that submit funding requests for projects that provide long-term security improvements. For fiscal year 22 and 23, the administration of the program was conducted by the Maryland Center for School Safety. For fiscal year 21, the IAC administered the application process and approved a total of 209 projects, totaling $6.3 million, other $10 million appropriated. This leaves $3.6 million available for allocation. To ensure that those remaining funds are put to use, staff are recommending that the FY21 program be reopened and that modifications to the schedule be made to allow the IAC staff the ability to accept applications beginning on September 9th until the end of January of 2023. This will allow the LEAs that have not yet identified any eligible projects, an adequate amount of time for project development, consultation with the regional facilities managers, and expenditure of the funding. Any remaining funding after the proposed allocation deadline will spark a conversation with the Maryland Center for School Safety to determine whether the funding could be distributed within a future program year. Jean is available to address project-related questions.
Thank you. You want to read the motion, Arabia?
Yes, sir. To modify the FY21 School Safety Grant Program Administrative Procedures Guide application schedule to open and solicit a new round of applications from local education agencies with remaining available funding.
There a motion that we approve the proposal? Ms. Eberhard.
So moved.
Second, Ms. Lawler. Any discussion or comments on the motion? Secretary McCord.
Sorry. Will the LEA be able to apply again if they haven't spent the money that they were allocated before?
Yes.
Okay.
Anything else? All in favor, say aye. Raise your hand.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Arabia. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay. Item 8, pass-through grant funding approval. Arabia.
Yes, sir. Maryland law authorizes the IAC to administer block grants to local education agencies for school construction projects selected by their county government. In early August, the IAC received its first application for the program from Caroline County for the Federalsburg Elementary School bathroom renewal project totaling $56,000. IAC staff have reviewed the funding request and can confirm that the project has met the requirements of the program. I now stand for questions.
Okay, you want to read the motion again, Arabia?
To approve a pass-through grant program project as presented in this item with a total allocation of $56,883.
Do I hear a motion? Deborah Hart. Second, Mr. Secretary Churchill. Any questions about the motion? Is there a deadline for this program?
Yes.
For application?
Yes, it'll be May of 2023 is the deadline.
Okay.
May 1st.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Or raise your hands.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, thank you again, Arabia.
Thank you.
All right, for our last agenda item, the commission, I have to read this, expects to discuss a real property acquisition matter and pursuant to section 3-305 of the general provisions article of the annotated code of Maryland, I will ask for a motion to close this meeting. Do I have a motion to close the meeting?
So moved, Mr. Chair. Lawler.
Second? All in favor, say aye. Raise your
Aye.
hands.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. We're going to now go into closed session and we'll be back, I would say, in
Recording stopped.
20 minutes. Thank you.
Chair, we'll just give everyone a minute to step out. You're live, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we're back in open session. While we are in closed session, we were briefed by staff and council on the proposed lease terms for a new office space for the commission. No votes were taken at this meeting. That concludes our business for today. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Lombardo, Superintendent Chaudhry. All in favor of adjourn, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you all for your help. We'll see you next month. Bye-bye.
Thank you all.